Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Andy in Singapore. Welcome back to the studio. And for today's video, we're going to do a comparison between this Seiko Slim Turtle here. I reviewed this one very recently, and I'm going to compare this to the Tortoise, all right, or the Land Tortoise. So these two watches, for me, they belong to the same family, all right. So namely this Turtle cushion family. So this Slim Turtle here, you may ask, Andy, why don't you compare it with the Turtle? All right, so the Turtle here is the OG. All right, so this one here, normally people will view this model as the definitive diver, budget category diver. So actually, I think this watch here is quite different to the Slim Turtle. All right, despite both watches call some sort of turtle. All right, so in terms of design and the bezel design and build, I think they're quite different. On the other hand, I have the Tortoise here. All right, so the Tortoise itself is like a scaled down version. So I think in many ways, the Tortoise should be called the Mini Turtle, all right? But you know, Seiko fans, the way they nickname the watches, you know, sometimes you don't really understand. Right? So the Mini Turtle is also known to be referring to a discontinued model, the one with the ugly Cyclops lens, and it doesn't have the cushion case design DNA. So you know, Seiko fans, I don't know how you nickname the watches, but no problem. So today I'm going to compare the Slim Turtle against the Tortoise. So these two watches, they are in different price points, different category and different build quality. So this is sort of a mid-tier, mid-range Seiko diver. Houses 6-hour movement, has Diashield coating. All right, so typically it goes for around 1,100 Singapore dollars, and the Tortoise, on the other hand, it is more of a basic level build. Houses a 4-hour movement, has no Diashield coating on the case. It does have a sapphire crystal. In terms of price difference, we're looking at typically about $450 for the Tortoise and more than double, all right? So we're looking at more than $1,000 for the Slim Turtle. But when you compare these two watches, when you look at these two watches side by side, you will realize that they are more similar than you would think. So obviously both of them come from the same cushion case family, 4 o'clock crown, and very simple dial design. So let's dive in and talk a little bit more on their differences. And now if the lens zoom in very slightly, let's have a closer look at these two watches. Okay, so again, let me remind you, they're from the same family, all right? The cushion case Turtle family. And their watch cases here from the side profile, they look very slim, slimmer than what the actual specs would suggest. The Slim Turtle here has a total thickness of 12.5 millimeters, and the Tortoise here has a thickness of 11.8 millimeters. Okay, so the cheaper watch, the lower end movement here is indeed thinner than the higher end watch here. Still very similar, they've got this coin edge bezel here, and both watches have more or less a flat sapphire crystal, but the Slim Turtle does indeed have an inside dome crystal with AR coating as well. So when it comes to actual dimensions, the Slim Turtle comes in at 41mm case size, the Tortoise comes in at 42mm case size. L2L is just under 48mm on both watches, and of course this cushion case look sort of gives it a hidden luxe kind of feel and look to it. All right, so I want to bring your attention to the flare, all right, on the case sides. So if you look at both watches side by side, you will notice that there is a bit more of a flare out on the Tortoise. So let me just bring in the OG Turtle as well, the big fat turtle here. You notice that the case side here flare out a little bit more, and it sits in further away than the bezel. But for the Slim Turtle, it's a bit different. All right, the case side sort of ends where the bezel is. So again, let me just bring in the Tortoise. So I think the way to call it is sort of the flanges here are bigger on the Tortoise and Turtle design. All right. On the other hand, we are looking at a smaller dial here. All right. So the Tortoise has a chapter ring, and it makes the actual dial a little bit smaller. Whereas on the Slim Turtle, It has no chapter ring. It does have a rehaut that is done in a brush finishing, but the minute track is printed on the dial itself together with the minute markers, as opposed to the Tortoise, which has minute tracks printed on the chapter ring. So this one here, the Tortoise, does feel or look like it's got a smaller dial, but in actual fact they are about the same, alright, even when it comes to actual measurements. So obviously the bezels here are also very different. On the Slim Turtle, it is a dive bezel, 120 click, the usual soft Seiko clicking. Alright, on this one here, it doesn't feel so spongy. So it is indeed a higher end Seiko watch. Now on the Tortoise, so this one here features a compass bezel, bi-directional, no clicking. Alright, so this one here is friction based, and because of this, you don't get any misalignments. In terms of handsets, they're also very different. So everything on the Slim Turtle here feels more vintage, feels more retro, from the markers to the handset, very simple pencil hands. Whereas on the Tortoise, so this one here has got a specially designed handset. I don't remember seeing any other Seiko Prospex watch with such a design. We've got a mix of arrow and broadsword hands, and of course it's up to your preference, alright? So both designs, they look equally good. I think I like both watches equally, alright? They're both great designs, smaller dimensions. So when it comes to the bracelets, you can definitely get these two models with or without the bracelet. So there are some Slim Turtle references with straps, dive straps, and there are some Tortoise references with bracelets. Okay, so this is the SBB309. It has a gilt dial look and comes on a bracelet. This is the SRPG15K1. Originally comes on a canvas strap, now it is strapped on an Atom strap, and I gotta tell, these are the best sailcloth straps for the money. Alright, it looks fantastic. It is as though this shade of blue here was meant for this dial here. Looks great. So over here, there is no winner or loser because you can definitely select which version you prefer, alright, what kind of strap or bracelets you prefer on both watches. And of course, in terms of performance, alright, we're looking at both watches with 200 meters water resistance, alright, and of course both watches come with screw-in crowns, screw-down crowns. I love the fact that these two watches have black date discs, alright, or black date wheels. Alright, so of course the one on the Slim Turtle here is adjusted properly, so you don't have to sort of tilt your head to look at the date here as you would with the Tortoise. Okay, so this is the right way to do a date wheel, alright, so don't cut out any hour markers and have a black date wheel to blend in with the dark colored dial. And of course, in terms of build quality, finishing and all that, I gotta admit, right, the more expensive watch here, alright, the mid-tier 6R movement watch has better finishing, nicer brushing, I would say. Alright, you can really see more attention has been given to the brushing. That's not to say that on the Tortoise, the brushing is very bad, right? It's not low quality, but I do feel that there's a higher level of finesse found in the finishing on the more expensive watch. So in terms of wearability, alright, so these two watches, they are very similar. So with the Tortoise, it's just under 12 millimeters total thickness, 11.8 with minimal case back protrusion. And when you combine that with this really beautiful scalloping here on the underbelly, alright, this one here wears like a dream. Okay, very good fit, looks fantastic, and even if you have a smaller wrist, I don't think it's a problem. The Mini Turtle, on the other hand, alright, due to the slightly more protruding case back, alright, you see that it is sort of floating on my wrist as I show you this side profile here, and it doesn't help that the mid case here has less curves. Okay, so it's more or less a straight line, and you know, of course, I think it's not a problem at all. It remains a very slim, small dimension watch, okay, but I think in terms of wearability, in terms of fit, all right, the cheaper watch, the Tortoise, might just have that bit of advantage. Okay, so the scalloping on the underbelly here is also very different. We are seeing more curves on the more entry-level Tortoise. I don't have a clear winner for today's comparison, alright? I think both watches, they are just fantastic. Very good proportion, very good wearability, not overly heavy, even if it's on a full bracelet configuration. I think, you know, these two designs, new designs, alright, they're just winners from Seiko. So there you have it. That was my really quick sort of a show and tell and comparison between these two models. Alright, I find them so similar in terms of size, wearability, fit and all that. I just love these two models. So do share with me your comments in the comment section below on how you feel about these two watches. So this is Andy in Singapore signing off until the next video. Bye bye.